online.
Hello my wonderful friends. Once again God has graced us to continue with our topic on realizing your true identity. We really want to dig deep into the Word of God so that we can be able to know precisely how did man become sinful, because if we know where we went wrong, then we are able to rectify through the Word of God. So I want us to really continue with our topic from the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 17. There is the Word of God to Adam and Eve. We read it last time, where God is saying, "But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall surely die." So we saw that this is the word which God gave to Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve lived with this word in their heart, and every time that this word was leading their lives, then they could not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, until when another stranger came. And we want to know precisely how did this happen, so that we can know the true problem, how it arose. Because many people think that the real problem is Adam and Eve eating the fruit, but there is something deeper which happened before they could stretch their hand and eat from the tree. So now we want to check this from the preceding chapter 3, when the woman was responding to the serpent. We can get the heart of this woman. Did she truly have the Word of God, or she spoke her thoughts? Because God is very straightforward that you shall not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and in the day that you will eat, you will surely die. But when the serpent is speaking to the woman is replying from the book of Genesis 3 verse 3. It says, "But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die." 4 says, "Then the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die." So why is Satan very fast in planting another word contrary to the Word of God to this woman's heart? It is because when Eve is speaking about the Word of God to the serpent, she is speaking it, but adding a lot of thoughts. Because God himself and said, "You shall not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." But Eve is saying, we are not supposed to eat the tree which is in the midst. And yesterday we were able to see that the tree there are two trees in the midst. So Eve is not specific. So she is just generalizing of these two trees. She is saying tree in the midst. Also, she is saying God has said, "You shall not eat of it, nor shall you touch it." God did not say about touching the tree. So this is the word which Eve herself has added on top of the Word of God. Then God said, "You will surely die." But Eve is saying, "Lest you die." So lest you die is a 50-50 win-win situation, whereby you may die or may not die. So, but the Word of God was very precise. But now we can see serpent is very fast, even to plant another seed of his word in verse 4. Then the serpent said to the woman, "You will not surely die." So Satan is just taking the word of God, you will surely die, and is adding only not. Just by adding not in the word of God, that ceases from being the word of God. That's why devil is very cunning. He only takes the word of God and just changes it a bit, and people believe, but it is not the word of God. As far as the word of God is added, even a single thing, a single of our thought, a dot of our thought, then that is not the word of God. And that is the work of Satan. He takes the word of God, but he hands another thing on top. Then it ceases from being the word of God. So now, the Bible is saying, then the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So verse 6 is very, very critical here, because of how the woman changed through receiving this word of Satan. And it starts by saying, so when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. So now we can see there is change of the heart. Because God spoke his word to Adam and Eve. And when he spoke his word to Adam and Eve, they possessed this word in their heart. And as far as the word of God was dominating their heart, was controlling their heart, it was controlling their perception, it was controlling their judgment, then they could not see this tree as good. They could see this tree as a tree which can only bring death to them, according to the word of God. But now when the serpent came, he rectified his own heart, word. This word came to Eve. When this word came to Eve, then Eve has a time to trade with the two words. Which word should I believe? Is it the word of God? You will surely die. Or the word of Satan? You will not surely die. Then, after being convinced, then Eve could only believe the word of Satan. And why could she believe the word of Satan? It is because it is promising her not to die. It is promising her good things. But these good things, they could not be good as they appeared to their eyes. So now, I want us to look at one word in the book of John. The book of John, chapter 6, verse 63. I want us to get something there to guide us. 6:63 says, it is the Spirit who gives life, the flesh profits nothing. The ones that I speak to you are spirit, and they are life. So, the word that I speak to you is life, and it is the one that I speak to you is spirit, and they are life. So now we can realize that the word of God was the Spirit of God. So, and as far as Adam and Eve and the word of God, they believed the word of God, then they had the life of God. Then they were one with God. They were possessing the same spirit as God. But now there is another word which has come, which is the word of Satan. Also, the word of Satan possesses the spirit of Satan. It also possesses the life of Satan. So now, if they believe the word of Satan, then they will possess the evil spirit, the spirit of Satan. One more verse. in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 17, I'm there already. It says, "But he who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him." So as far as Adam and Eve were being joined to God, they had the same heart with God, they possessed the word of God, then they are in the same spirit, then they are joined together, then they could have fellowship together. But when they received the word of Satan, it became the opposite. Then when they possessed the word of Satan, they were joined to Satan. Then they possessed the spirit of Satan. So they had oneness, they had fellowship with Satan. So now we can be able to try to come to this conclusion that the real problem and the real problem which brought about separation between God and man, it is not that the action of stretching forth and taking the fruit and eating it. The real problem happened in the heart of Adam and the heart of Eve. Why? When the word of Satan came, they had to possess the word of Satan and believe in it, and they had to despise the word of God. So this exchange of believing the word of Satan and despising the word of God, this is the problem, because we have seen that when the woman believed the word of Satan is when her sight changed. She started seeing the tree that it is good for food. It is a pleasant tree. It is good to look at, and even it is delicious. Why? Because the word of Satan which came to the heart of Eve could be able to manipulate his sight, manipulate our viewpoint, manipulate our judgment. So now we want to see through the book of Hebrews chapter 3 verse 12, so that we can know now exactly what is this sin which has separated man and God. How did it come to be, and what can we define exactly as sin? So Hebrews chapter 3 verse 12, there already, says, "Beware, brethren, lest there be in you," beware, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God. So, lest there be in any of you evil heart. What is this evil heart? You can see it is a heart. It is not an action. It is an evil heart. Why is it an evil heart? Because it is an evil heart because it is not the word of God. It is an evil heart because it does not come from God. The heart they possess, that you will not surely die, was not the word of God. So they believed this word. When they believed this word, they doubted the word of God. So this is what we call unbelief. Believing our own thoughts. Believing the judgment that comes from our own side, the judgment which comes from our own flesh, the judgment which comes from our own perception. And Satan is very cunning. He uses our thoughts. He comes and lays some thought in our mind, and we nurse that thought, thinking we are just in the business of following our thoughts, but without knowing that we are being preached by Satan. Just like the woman was being given fellowship by Satan, and she was able to despise the word of God and was able to go against the word of God. So the true problem and the true sin is unbelief. That is, not believing the word of God. And when they did not believe the word of God, then they departed from the living God. So now this is the separation now. And the true sin now is not the action of stretching and eating the fruit. The real sin is unbelief. It is departing from the word of God. And after departing from the word of God and believing another word, then they stretched forth their hand and ate of the fruit. Now, the action of eating is the fruit of the word of Satan they have possessed in their heart. So, before they could eat the fruit, there is something spiritual which happened in their heart. That is, they believed the word of Satan. And this is now the unbelief. After believing the word of Satan, then they despised the word of God. They despised God himself. Because when you despise the word of God, God is a spirit. And the word of God is a spirit. And now, spirit, the word of God is God. Remember John chapter 1 verse 1, which says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. So you can't separate God and his word. So when they despised the word of God, they despised God. They departed from the living God. And now, when they depart from the living God, this is now the real death. Because they were told, when you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die. So true death came as a result of departing from the word of God. And now they departed from the living God. So this means now, if they are not living with the living God, they are dead automatically. They are separated from life. They are separated from the Spirit of God. So this time now, we can be able to realize that man is not in fellowship with God, is in fellowship with Satan. And now, next time, we will be able to go a step ahead and now know what is this, how can this separation, how can we know our identity truly, and how can we be joined together to God whom we have already departed. We will go on ahead in discussing this topic broadly. But today, what you need to realize is that sin is not the action of stretching and eating from the fruit. Sin is what happened before they could stretch their hand and eat. Sin is that action of despising the word of God and believing another word. And that's what we have seen in the book of Hebrews chapter 3 verse 12. Be aware, brethren, lest there be in you any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God. So we can depart from God not by saying, God, I don't want you. We can depart from God by despising his word. If you read in the book of Proverbs 13 verse 13, it says, those who despise the word, they will be destroyed. So why? They will be destroyed because they have despised God. It is not that they are despising the word only. They are despising God himself. So even Adam and Eve despised God. Why? They despised his word. So even us, when we despise the word of God, then we are despising God himself. So thank you very much. We will continue expounding more and more into this topic. And I believe when you stay tuned, then your life will change. You will realize your identity. And truly, you will have a true spiritual life of being joined permanently to God. Thank you very much. God bless you.